Miles Holcomb. I'm the new head football coach at Southside High School.
Coach, it is a great pleasure to bring you on board. Obviously, that was a pretty tough race to get this job. I believe at one point it was almost up to 60 people had applied for it and was trying to get this job, and you've been selected out of all those guys to lead the Southside Panthers moving forward. Young, energetic guy who's familiar with Southside football. But Coach, before we lead into what got you here and how you got here, let's take it back in time, man. Let's get in the DeLorean with Michael J. Fox and your childhood. Now, you're from Crossville, Alabama, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Grew up in Crossville. Mom and dad graduated from Crossville. So, I am a son of educators. And so I got two brothers. My mom is a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. My uncle was a coach, played for him. My grandmother worked in the front office. So, everybody outside of my dad and my granddad, they were educators. And so, my dad was really the first coach I played for. I mean, he coached from the time we started playing baseball when we were 4 years old all the way up till we played sixth grade basketball, And so, probably pulled more from him than he ever really realized. Played all three sports there. If it had a ball and they let you play and they kept scoring, I wanted to do it. I had an opportunity to leave and go to Shorter, play ball at Shorter. So went, played there. How it is. Got there and never really played offensive line before, and then played offensive line and ended up loving it. You make connections with people that you didn't realize that you were going to make, and incredible time. College was awesome. There's a number of guys in the state of Georgia that I played with and that's still close with that are head coaches in Georgia and coach ball in Georgia. So, that's awesome just to be able to have that connection with them still and be able to talk to them and get different experiences that they have that you may have not had at that time. So that was awesome. Finished up there and then came back to Crossville to coach. Year one was with Bill Smith. And so Coach Smith was awesome, man. We didn't have a whole bunch of people on the team, number one. We didn't have a whole bunch of coaches on the staff. But Coach Smith taught me how to be a coach from the jump. He kind of let me handle guys up front, handle the box. He took care of the passing game. And there'd be days when we'd be sitting in the office and we're just talking, we're just going over, offensive scheme and things like that. And, I think I pulled from him a ton early on. For that to be the first person I had a chance to work for was huge, because he's had a ton of success, whether it be at, Shays Valley or even now at Huffman, So that was awesome. Year two, I had a new coach come in, Trey Pott came in. And then year three, we had Robbie Coker come in. Well, look, Robbie's a legend, man. Robbie's awesome. His energy is on another level.
I heard about his how he got people to buy into the program, endorse the program, and sponsorship he sold was like through the roof just off his energy.
Listen, that I will say this about Coach Coker. It was awesome. Like, working with him was awesome. And I'd known him growing up. He's a Crossville guy too. But when you get a chance to be around him and you get a chance to feel his energy, like, it's infectious now. Like, it really is. And then, he left, took the basketball job at Plainview, which has turned out pretty good for him, I would say. Then I had a chance to leave and go to North Jackson. Well, at the time, they were in, a transition. Tony Johnson had just taken over the program. So I go, work with Tony for a year, look at potentially staying there. And then an opportunity to go and work with Bo Culver at Haleyville happened. So it was one of those situations. Haleyville really kind of felt like Crossville. It kind of felt like a home to me, and me and my wife left, and our son was young at the time. And so we went over there. She was working there. I was working there. That was the first chance we had. We had been married at that point, going on 3 years, and we still hadn't worked in the same state.
Man.
And so wow. It was tough early on, and then had that chance, go over there, stayed there for 2 years, had an incredible year one. I mean, I think we put up 505 points, set the school record, most points they'd ever put up. Had some really good players, and then had a chance to go back home and be the head coach at Crossville, after those 2 years. And that was an experience that, to be honest with you, I wasn't sure if I would ever leave. And, year two, you got to be self-aware. If you're going to be a head coach, you better be self-aware, and you better be able to, at the end of the year, assess how you did as a coach. Year one, we won 4 games. Coming into that season, they'd won 3 games in 3 years, and it was tough. And the group of kids that we had that first year bought in from the jump, which I'll never be able to repay them for. A lot of them I still talk to this day, and they mean the world to me, and I think they know that. So year two, going into year two, we had some tragedy. I don't think it's any secret when our community lost Hunter, and that was our quarterback's brother. Our quarterback's younger brother that was going to take over. You don't know how close people are and what they mean to you until you go through some type of tragedy. Mm-hmm. And that was tragedy of tragedies. Because he was full of life. That sucker was going to be an animal. He was going to be really special. And, it's incredibly unfortunate. But what he taught me is what I have been able to take with me, that wins and losses are great. Don't get me wrong. And you got to win. If you want to keep doing what you're doing and have the platform that you have, you better keep winning. But at the same time, it's more about relationships than anything else. And if you can create real relationships with people, and that's what we're in the job for. That's the best part of the job in general. And that's what makes the job special to me. And so we had a good season. We started out 4-0 that year. And that was the first time Crossville started out 4-0, and I can't remember when.
In a minute.
Yeah, and found a way to make the playoffs in 5A for the first time. And once again, it was about the kids and the connection they have with each other. And we didn't have a bunch of them. It just is what it is. And then the injury bug hit us. The injury bug hit us after the Sylvania game. And we had an inside receiver and a kicker that tore his ACL. And then we had a couple more guys go down. And it's hard to overcome, with the guys that we had. But we still found a way to make the playoffs. Ended up matching up with Briarwood Christian that year, who had a really good team. And had it not been for Jalen Armour Davis, they probably win the state title that year, But I knew when I self-assessed at the end of that year, I knew I was missing something as a head coach, because I could see how good we started, and then I could see us, tail off towards the end, and I wasn't sure what caused it. And I wasn't sure exactly how to fix it, to be honest with you. And that kind of sucks to say as a head coach, and you're like, I'm not sure how I need to fix this. So I knew I was either going to have to fix it, or I was going to have to find somebody to help me fix it. And so I got lucky with, I got to meet Coach Urban at a principals and athletic directors conference through Robbie Coker. So we were sitting having a conversation. Coach Urban comes up, and he left, and he said, "Hey, you know who that was?" And I said, No. And he said, "That's the athletic director at Hoover." And I was like, "Man, that's awesome," And
he's actually from Rainbow City. Correct?
He graduated from Southside.
Southside, yeah, correct.
And so, had that opportunity, and I knew that if I was gonna leave, if I was gonna leave my hometown and go somewhere else, that the reason I was gonna leave would be to go help me be a better coach and help me be a better head coach. And if I was going to go learn how to be a better head coach, why don't I go learn from the guy who, in my opinion, has had more sustained success in the state of Alabama than anybody in the history of Alabama? And so that's what I did. And Coach Niblett gave me an opportunity. Go in there, year one, I coached quarterbacks. You walk into a situation where you're coaching Robbie Ashford at quarterback. Can it get much better? And you got Larry McCammon in the backfield, and you got George Pickens on the edge. Like, does it get? Hey, this is what a job, And then year two, I transitioned to coach receivers, and I'll tell you this: at that point in time, we had everybody coming back in our core unit of receivers. None of them had a varsity catch. None of them had a recorded varsity catch. But those suckers grinded. They were warriors. We ended up having a freshman star for us in the slot that year. R.J. Hamilton, who's an animal now, he was a player then too. Cooper Tulo, Jamari Bowie, Malik Thomas, Raymond Hampton, just a ton of guys that, from Kobe Davis, Kobe Williams, Joseph Buffett. We had dudes everywhere, and we had dudes contribute, and they just worked their tails off every single day. And leaving that place was incredibly hard. I was an emotional wreck the day that I told them. I just was. And left. Jason Curvin, who was the offense coordinator at Hoover, got the job at Alpharetta, and he said, "Hey, man, I'd like for you to come with me. I think you can be the offense coordinator, assistant head coach." And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, I've got 2 years of an experience here. I dove in head first. Like, I wanted to get all in, everything they did, everything we did at Hoover, I wanted to know about. I wanted to soak up as much of it as I could. And in my mind at that time, I just thought, I need another experience, so what better way to test myself than to go be, an offense coordinator in 7A in Georgia. And so when I got there, I looked at our schedule, and, it was a brutal schedule last year. We played the national sophomore of the year. We played the national junior of the year 2 times. We played, I think, 6 top 10 teams throughout the year. Played the runner-up back to 2 different times. We played them in the regular season and played them again in the playoffs. And so found a way to make the playoffs in 7A over there in a tough schedule. And, Coach Curvin's he's doing an incredible job at Alpharetta. And he's become like family because we were around each other so much. We saw each other. Our families loved each other. Our kids loved each other, and they hung out all the time. So, and then just the buy-in from the kids over there. When you leave somewhere, it feels like you're doing something selfish, like it's a selfish thing. You're going against everything that you tell everybody, and hey, come on, man, it can't be about you. And then all of a sudden you make a decision about you. And you feel a little bit like a phony, if I'm being honest with you. But at the end of the day, we felt like this move was the best thing for our family. And so, it was incredibly hard. And, with Coach Curvin, he's a brother that I'll have for life. And I know he's going to do special things, there. But we just felt like this was a good fit. The opportunity came available. It was open. I was like, all right, let's see what happens, And I remember when I got an email from Miss Tucker about, hey, would you want to come interview? And I remember reading it, thinking I get to go interview for a 6A job in Alabama. I'm from Crossville, man. What are you talking about? I played, NAIA football. I get to go interview for a 6A job in Alabama. That's. I thought it was crazy. But just I was so excited at the opportunity. And I'm a little OCD, so I got things I try to have everything planned out. And so you're trying to go through and you're piecing stuff together. You're like, well, that'd be good to say. That would be good here. And you're trying to piece it together in what you believe still too, you can't go walk in there and fool a bunch of people and fool kids saying some quick buzzwords when if you don't believe it, that's not who you are. And if I learned anything from the different experiences that I had is you better not be nobody else because they'll read through that pretty quick. You better walk in somewhere and be you. And if you can be the best you, then it don't matter. The best you is going to be good enough.
Yeah, ain't no doubt. And you're not too far from your hometown. It's definitely driving distance.
Oh, absolutely. My mom and dad live in Guntersville now, so it's not too far.
45 minutes from here.
Yeah, it takes about 45 minutes to get here. It's not too bad. But it's a nice drive too. At the same time, I'm a big podcast guy, so it gives me an opportunity to listen to a podcast on the way.
Joe Rogan guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt. Well, Coach, I know they're about to have a class in here, and I don't want it to run too long, but when you got that email saying that you had been selected, talk about that and what that meant to you, and what was going through your head at that point.
Well, I always look for something. All the different experiences that I've had really were to prepare myself to be a better head coach, and an opportunity to be a head coach at a place that felt like home, and that we could stay here for a long time. We want to kind of put down roots and stay. I want my son to be able to have the high school experience that me and my wife had, where you meet friends young and they're your friends forever. And that's really what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be able to find in a school. And I felt like Southside was it. It's a place where you got two communities of young kids that come together and they form one community as high school athletes, and I think that's special. I think there's something to be said about that because that's tough, especially when you're young and you're almost like playing on two different teams, and when you leave high school, like that's what the real world is, and our kids get an opportunity to experience that on a smaller scale at a young age, which I think is invaluable for them. But this is just also a place where when you come across over here and you think about Rainbow City, you think about Southside. When you pull up at the stadium over there on Friday night, I guarantee it's packed because people love football. People love football. The community loves this program. And even people that don't like football, they just want to be around the program because it's Southside and this is home for them. And I think that's a special thing. And it's hard to find. And it's getting harder to find.
Yeah.
And so to have that opportunity to be at a place where you can build something special, they don't come around very often.
That's right. Barney Hood Stadium on Friday nights, you can go back throughout history, it's always been pretty electric, but you let somebody like a rival, like an Etowah or somebody roll in here, and I'll put it up against just about anywhere, honestly. It's a really, which the fans here call themselves the Thunder House. I don't know if you know that yet.
Man, I like it. Hopefully we got some when we get the ball, when we had the ball, I hope they put some seatbelts on there. People had to buckle up because we're going to plan on playing pretty fast. So.
I love it. Now, last year, was a special year for Southside to be dipped down the year before, but, throughout history, in 13, they made the semis. So it's a place where you can definitely win some football games, and I know the community's looking forward to someone young and energetic like yourself to carry on, kind of take what Coach Nelson did and go to that next level. And you got some really good players coming through here, Coach, and glad to have you on. This is the first of many meetings you'll have with us, and we will definitely be here in your corner the whole way.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate what you do for the sport and what you do for our kids and for the community.